Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Narcissism, characterized by a grandiose sense of self-importance and a lack of empathy, often leads to challenging interpersonal relationships. However, it's a perplexing reality that narcissists frequently end up with good, kind-hearted partners. So, is it just luck, or is there something more going on? And how can you prevent yourself from ending up with these toxic individuals? In today's video, we will explore why narcissists end up with good partners, and uncover what this dynamic reveals about the complexities of human relationships. Now, here's the thing about narcissists. They hunt. They actively seek individuals who see the good in others, are very forgiving, and take a long time to realize that they're dealing with an evil person. It doesn't matter whether they're male or female, narcissists hunt for good people. Furthermore, pay attention to the love stories involving a bad person and a good person. You'll notice that the bad person intentionally devised a plan to attract the good person. It didn't happen by chance. The bad person saw the goodness in their target and decided to pursue them. Narcissistic or toxic people hunt, while good people often project their own goodness onto others, expecting to meet other good people. However, that's not how it works. Narcissistic or toxic people actively search for good people, going out of their way to find them. So, if you're a good person just going about your life, expecting to meet another good person, you're more likely to encounter a narcissistic person because bad people are actively searching for you, while you are simply existing. Good people need to develop their discernment, and good people need to actively seek out other good people. Many people believe they can simply pray and find a good partner, but prayer alone doesn't help, because bad people are on the lookout for passive good people. Passive good people wait for good partners to come to them by chance, but that's not how it works. You need to understand the dynamics around you. Bad people seek out good people because they're easier to manipulate. So, if you passively wait or rely solely on prayer to find a good partner, you'll soon realize that you keep encountering toxic people. The good people who don't end up with bad partners are those who actively seek out other good people and carefully assess whether the people they meet are truly good. They are vigilant and discerning about the individuals they encounter. Discernment and clarity about what you want are crucial. You cannot passively navigate through life and expect to end up with a good person. And the reason why narcissistic or other toxic people rarely end up with other bad people is because one bad person can easily recognize another bad person's tactics from a distance. Therefore, the best approach to protect oneself is to cultivate the same discernment that bad people possess, and safeguard one's own goodness. Don't extend grace to people who haven't proven that they are deserving of it. Refrain from giving people the benefit of the doubt. Always remember that you're dealing with adults, not children. They know what they are doing. Anyone with common sense knows that if they do something that hurts someone else, they wouldn't want it done to them. You need to ask yourself, if the roles were reversed, would this person tolerate this? If the answer is no, then you know they are aware of what they're doing. They wouldn't want you doing to them what they are doing to you. They are fully aware of their actions. Another reason why good people end up with narcissists or other toxic individuals is that good people tend to love quickly, readily, and deeply. They easily see the good in others and usually view shortcomings as challenges that can be overcome. They have a tendency to overlook character defects in people because they simply don't see them. They see the best in people, make excuses for them, and believe that if these individuals could just have some good in their lives, the rest will iron out. Giving up isn't in their vocabulary. They believe that if someone can't do something alone, they can accomplish it together. They have high expectations for themselves and others, also understanding that humans are prone to failure. Unfortunately, they often lack a clear sense of what degree of failure is beyond redemption. They also struggle to comprehend malicious and destructive intentions, as they are not inclined to such sentiments themselves. They find it difficult to understand, because they cannot personally relate to it. Since they don't engage in malicious behaviors, it is hard for them to recognize when those behaviors are being done to them. Consequently, they tend to presume that something other than malice and disdain are involved. They view it as a misunderstanding that can be cleared up, perhaps through clarification or by adjusting their own actions. I know two good men who are deeply committed to their families. Both have co-narcissistic partners, and despite their suffering, they stay in these relationships because of their strong commitment to their families. This method of loving is unhealthy, but I believe it's common among abuse victims. They continually accept, help, and do everything possible to keep the relationship together, even when the other person will never contribute positively, and even when the vulnerability of their position is obvious. People who cannot comprehend evil, who cannot recognize harmful behaviors and individuals as the negative influences they are, will not consider cutting those people out of their lives. Instead, they will try to find more ways to help the person they care about, even when there's nothing they can do, and hence, the abuse will never cease. Abused individuals are the ones who must end the abuse. If they love and care too much to do so, the abuse will only cease if their abuser becomes tired of their victim's affection. However, some abusers never reach that point. Too often, people enter into relationships for the wrong reasons, and end up with the wrong partner. Many individuals fall in love with a body rather than a person, prioritizing physical attraction over emotional connection. Narcissists, in particular, are often incredibly charming and competent, traits that can be very attractive, especially in the early stages of a relationship. Their ability to present themselves in the best possible light, along with their often impressive accomplishments or perceived success, can draw good partners in. This initial attraction can be powerful, masking the deeper, more problematic aspects of the narcissist's personality. Consequently, often people fall for the fake promises instead of practicality. Their craving for physical intimacy outweighs their desire for emotional bonding, leading to shallow relationships devoid of deeper connections. Now, here, we need to understand that the fault lies in our judgment, which is influenced by our cravings, urges, and impulses. People are often attracted to glittery superficial things, neglecting to notice one's character. In relationships, money and looks often take precedence. A man may be surrounded by girls not because of his good character, but because of his wealth. Over time, you realize that everything that glitters is not gold. Eventually, you understand that what you have is just another shiny piece of stone, that deep down, is worthless. And since it was your choice to pursue it, accepting this reality is difficult, and you continue to convince yourself otherwise. And many a times good partners stay in unhappy marriages, because by the time the abuse becomes apparent, their self-esteem has been eroded, making it difficult for them to leave the relationship. The narcissist, being a master manipulator, uses guilt trips and threats to keep their partner trapped. Moreover, many adults gauge their own self-worth by comparing the market value, or hierarchical status of their significant other, to that of their peers. Some individuals are so desperate to measure up, that they will endure years of abuse from their partner, because it provides validation of their ability to maintain a marriage or relationship. Also, individuals with low self-esteem may find themselves attracted to narcissists, who initially boost their self-worth, with attention and flattery. Often, we fail to set high standards for ourselves, thinking we don't deserve a higher caliber partner. Narcissists, like emotional vampires, prey on those with a shaky sense of self. Additionally, we may believe we can fix an individual, or we may lack enough self-esteem and self-respect to demand better treatment from others. Narcissists are skilled at identifying and exploiting these insecurities, making their partners feel special and valued in the beginning. This creates a dependency, where the good partner tolerates negative behavior, believing they don't deserve better, or fearing they won't find another partner who appreciates them. Now, here, it's really our inner issues that we need to work on. Immaturity, lack of self-knowledge and discernment, social pressures, and cultural beliefs, combined with the fear of being alone, often lead people to enter into relationships for the wrong reasons, and consequently with the wrong person. And we've all found ourselves in that situation, at one time or another. We've done everything in our power to make someone happy, only to be betrayed, lied to, and taken advantage of. Unfortunately, when you have a good heart, you assume that the person you care about shares your good intentions. While some do, many see it as an opportunity to exploit your love and kindness. They fail to appreciate all that you have to offer. That's why it's crucial to take the time to really get to know someone before investing your whole heart into the relationship. Be authentic, but refrain from giving your all until you're certain of their true intentions. Rushing into relationships is unwise. Exercise patience and trust your intuition. Eventually, the right person will come along and genuinely appreciate the wonderful person that you are. However, it's very common that we encounter many challenges before finding that special someone. What is required is developing a healthy and honest inner dialogue and relationship with ourselves. This way, we'll know when and with whom to enter into a serious relationship, and we'll do so for the right reasons. And setting boundaries is vital. People with poor boundaries often end up with people who do them dirty. Poor boundaries can look a lot like a big heart, because many of the things people associate with being big-hearted, such as agreeableness, availability, being accommodating, never saying no, prioritizing others over self, are much more about poor boundaries than about being big-hearted. It's important to understand that, when we fail to establish boundaries and uphold our values, our thoughts become consumed by our desires. We overlook our actions, the purpose of our actions, and their underlying causes. Furthermore, we struggle to comprehend the difference between need and desire. And the tricky thing about having poor boundaries is that, even people who don't intend to do you dirty can end up doing so, as they become accustomed to getting their own way, and eventually start treating having things their own way as an entitlement. Another reason why good people end up with narcissists or other toxic people is because we start accepting people in our lives when we are broken, in despair, and in the wrong state of mind. There is a famous saying that we should not go grocery shopping when we are on an empty stomach. Similarly, we should not search for love when we might confuse it with other emotions. We often believe that love will fill the void within us, a void we are not ready to accept or address. However, we fail to understand that this void must be filled by ourselves. In our quest to fill this emptiness, we often choose the wrong people as substitutes. We must learn to address our inner issues, heal from them, and love ourselves completely. Only then will we refuse to tolerate disrespect in any form, thereby protecting ourselves from falling in love with the wrong person. People with good hearts often get trampled upon. Good partners are typically empathetic and compassionate individuals who naturally seek to care for others. Narcissists, despite their outward bravado, often display moments of vulnerability or distress that trigger the nurturing instincts of good partners. This dynamic creates a bond where the good partner feels needed and valued for their support and care, even as they overlook or minimize the narcissist's manipulative tendencies. Moreover, many good partners suffer from what is known as the rescuer syndrome, a deep-seated need to help and heal those who appear troubled. Narcissists can exploit this by presenting themselves as misunderstood or damaged individuals in need of rescuing. The good partner, driven by the belief that their love and support can lead to a positive change, becomes deeply invested in the relationship, often at the expense of their own well-being. In the end, they inevitably get hurt. After giving their all, they are passed over for another relationship, leaving them to wonder what went wrong. This cycle repeats itself, time and again, with their friends questioning how such a thing could happen to someone as wonderful as them. What they need to do is start choosing people who are not needy, and avoid those who will take advantage of their good heart. It's akin to kicking a dog, yet the dog keeps returning. Good people are truly wonderful individuals, who deserve nothing but the best. However, they have to learn the telltale signs of not playing nurse, but rather embracing some sunshine for themselves. Counseling would surely help, but so would keeping a journal of what they will not tolerate in a relationship. Learn to love yourself first, so that this big heart does not get hurt again. And it's not just about having a good heart, it's about their values and boundaries, including image management to regulate their self-esteem. Many people with low self-esteem or limited life experience may find themselves involved with individuals who, for various reasons, are unable to manage their own lives, or have emotional needs that prevent them from wanting to be single. The so-called good-hearted person often responds to the other person's needs, because they want to be seen as a white knight, healer, or protector. However, it's important to recognize that this isn't true kindness, it's a transactional dynamic, albeit in a covert manner, where the good-hearted person meets their emotional needs by enabling the unhealthy behavior of another. This type of relationship is commonly known as codependency. Both parties have a distorted understanding of what love is supposed to be, yet both feel that the other person needs them. The truth is, if the good-hearted person truly had good discernment and high self-esteem, they wouldn't attach themselves to someone who either cannot or will not reciprocate similar forms of support. This suggests that the good-hearted person isn't seeking anything practical, or a relationship with give-and-take dynamics. You might argue, but they told me XYZ. So what? Never judge character solely based on words, it's the behaviors and patterns that reveal who you're dealing with. However, I suspect that many good-hearted people choose to believe what they want to believe, instead of acknowledging the red flags. This is where personal growth becomes necessary for the good-hearted individual. The good-hearted person tends to project their own values onto others, and rushes to judge a person's worth without careful consideration. They need to realize that many people out there are merely putting on a show when you first meet them. Understanding that their beliefs about people in general need to be redefined, that they must overhaul their boundaries, and keep individuals at arm's length from them, regardless of the attraction and positive vibes. This ensures that only those who have demonstrated through their actions that they are healthy and capable of reciprocating will have agency in their lives. Now, here's a good way to distinguish between genuine and fake individuals. You truly don't know anyone until you have witnessed how they handle negative emotions such as anger, jealousy, fear, and anxiety. Don't let anyone convince you that you're a couple after just the third date, especially if your interactions have been easygoing and stress-free. I'm telling you, Wait until a challenging situation arises, and observe how they handle it. Trust your instincts. If they act selfishly or petty, it's best to distance yourself from them. Because narcissists and other abusers don't start out by revealing their abusive nature. Instead, they initially appear to be loving and kind individuals who gradually groom you over time to accept their increasingly unacceptable behavior. Many narcissists don't begin their abusive behavior until long after the wedding vows have been exchanged. In fact, many abusers believe they aren't abusers at all, and justify their behavior as being perfectly reasonable, because they perceive themselves as victims. Another reason why good people end up with narcissists, or other toxic people, is because many good partners have experienced similar dynamics in their childhood, often in relationships with narcissistic parents or caregivers. This background makes them more susceptible to falling into familiar patterns in their adult relationships. They may subconsciously seek out narcissistic partners, because the behavior feels familiar, even if it is harmful. This repetition compulsion drives them to recreate and try to resolve unresolved childhood conflicts. It has been observed that narcissists, or other manipulative people, easily identify those who can be manipulated. Loving individuals often seek the best in others, possess empathy, and readily forgive, whereas manipulative people are skilled at deceit, adept at portraying themselves as victims, and, most importantly, good at offering apologies if it benefits them. Loving people often end up being taken advantage of, for their most admirable qualities, which is why many can become bitter, resentful, and consumed by distrust as time passes. Hence, it takes a resilient individual to prevent the world from dimming their light. And bear in mind, the universe will match whatever vibration you put out. So, in conclusion, understanding why narcissists end up with good partners is crucial for breaking the cycle of unhealthy relationships. Awareness is the first step. Good partners need to recognize the signs of narcissistic behavior and understand their own patterns and vulnerabilities. Building self-esteem and fostering a sense of self-worth are essential to avoid falling into the trap of seeking validation from a narcissistic partner. Setting and enforcing boundaries is vital. Good partners should learn to assert their needs and protect their emotional health. Therapy and counseling can provide invaluable support in understanding and addressing deep-seated issues that make them susceptible to narcissistic partners. Professional guidance can also help them develop healthier relationship dynamics. So, I hope this content was helpful. As always, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to my channel. Your support is greatly appreciated. Always feel free to share your experiences in the comment section below. I express my gratitude to everyone for tuning in and watching. Let us help spread the awareness and lead healthier and fulfilling lives.